you get America as a cowboy or
So what issues are we going to talk about first?
just, I think we could start like our top concerns that we have.
Among all equal priorities, I can think of nothing better than to just do it alphabetically. Affordability. What is your plan for affordability? I think we need to increase our GDP. I don't think there's any better way to do that than resolving climate change with investments in green technology, now with taxpayer dollars. So, I mean, I've been talking about this for a while where the offset the green premium. The green premium is the cost of investing in technologies that do not produce fossil fuels. And they're not really attractive because they're more expensive. So if you can mandate that the fossil fuel companies take that long-term investment, convert those packages where anybody can invest, then that would eliminate the need for trying to solve that with taxpayer dollars. And, excuse me, the fact that we're going directly to the financial sector with that, it's going to affect the entire market worldwide. So this is an international challenge. And how that affects all systems connected to it. You know, the cost of things are going to continue to go up if we don't resolve that. Plus data ownership, that's another thing. If we codify that under USC 15, that can create new commercial revenue for consumers. That's also new tax revenue streams and mitigate artificial intelligence. But again, like that's not, I look at this as all equal priorities. So I just went alphabetical right there, you know what I mean? So there's, you know, probably 8 top issues, but I thought I'd just open with that.
So just briefly about that one, I would take a slightly different tack. TVA was a great project during the 1930s, brought electricity and the Communications Act similarly to places where it wasn't there before, and those were government-based paid for. And I see nothing wrong with doing something like that again, as far as climate is concerned. Also, as you said, there are other things that may be even more important. Mine is to restore our democracy. I've seen it lost. The Lewis Powell memo in '72, especially, that was the blueprint for the Republicans to do what they've done since then and all but destroyed, especially according to our President Carter 10 years ago. He said that we're being run by an oligarchy. I believe he was right then. It's just gotten worse since then. So we need to somehow restore our democracy, improve it, in fact, so that this doesn't happen again. And that's my priority. Do what we can to restore our democracy. And again, for our students. I'm old enough to remember all this. This is the slogan I came up with during the 2018 campaign, Make America Good Again, this time for all of us in all colors. Having, as I said before, I don't know if this was on the video or not, but having come here as an infant and having been helped by the country, I tell my students, we have an occasion, especially for the seniors, I paid $50 a semester tuition for college. And with a small state scholarship like New York State, I had a free education, undergraduate education. And the fact that we encourage this white male to do that, it's great, but we need to do that for everybody. And bring the cost of tuition down. That's not going to happen until we have folks in Congress who have the gumption to do what's necessary to bring us back to as close to a democracy as we can.
Yeah, when it comes to affordability, my thing is going back and modeling the 1948 German economic miracle. And what it is getting our economy back to a gold standard. What it is we cancel the American currency as it is right now. And then we bring out the new American dollar. And that's backed up by gold. And overnight we can decrease the national deficit down from trillions down to billions overnight. And that would drop inflation down significantly and bring the cost down significantly by doing that. And it's also, as far as tech, AI and everything, we gotta look at that as digital oil. That's what I, and adopting the Alaskan model. And what, I don't know if anybody's aware of what they do in Alaska, they pay out dividends to the citizens. And that could bring down the work week down to just a 4-day work week and give family members more time at home, because I think that's one of the big issues is that the decline of the American family. And I think a lot of our social issues are all connected directly with that. And of course, the economy is a big thing that does affect that, is because low wages, low health care, and so forth. But going to your point about the right people in the jobs, making sure that they're holding the corporate entities. See, that's my big deal with things like SNAP and welfare benefits and stuff like that. We wouldn't need those things if government officials held corporate entities accountable and making sure that they're paying their employees fair wages, fair health care, and give them the proper time off and so forth. So we need good people in office that will hold corporate entities accountable. And that's how capitalism works. That's how it's supposed to function. Because if you don't lock your door, like the saying goes, you're not going to keep an honest man honest. If you're going to rely on corporate people to do the right thing, like Adam Smith suggested, in extending the invisible hand, well, that ain't going to happen.
Right.
So you gotta keep the door locked, keep the honest man honest, and yeah, I think that's where we start.
Indeed, just paralleling off of what you were just talking about, keeping the honest man honest, in this day and age, honesty right now is such an asset that we have to value those who are honest as if they were national treasures. That's why even during this election cycle, you see that even at the very top in the executive branch, we have an administration that is really just getting rich off of everything. And never before in human history has this happened, except maybe 250 years ago. Yes, when this country was ran by a king, and this is a disgrace. And to be part of a party that is now deemed by the masses to be so hypocritical that we are in danger of losing races just being associated with the party that we're associated with, because they can't pick a topic to save their lives. And leadership is, few people outside of politics know who the head of the DNC is. And the autopsy that the DNC has just received after it was shelved is so damaging that it takes us to help rebuild it. Because that's what happens when a tower falls. What's underneath helps build it back up.
So what'd you do for affordability?
What would I do for affordability is make things more affordable.
How?
Easily. There's so many ways. One, getting prices to go back down after these corporate bigwigs have tasted the coffers of what the people can afford. They're not going to lower prices. So now we raise wages. And in doing so, through education, workforce development, and also incarceration is one of the institutions that are least looked upon for workforce development and advancement in workforce application. these returning citizens, like myself, I'm a returned citizen now. I returned to society 8 years ago. And let me tell you something, it's been a wild ride. I love it. Best I ever lived, because I'm able to now show society their return on investment. The tax dollars that you gave into the mass incarceration and prison industrial complex, this is your return on investment. And there are so many like me. This is how you get affordability to become something of a reality, by getting everybody involved. Everyone. You can't have affordability where people cannot afford things. So speaking about affordability, even with the candidates that we have in the front runners in the 6th district, they are hypocrites to speak about affordability when they can afford everything. All right? You know what we can't afford? We can't afford to even get in an election. So as in the forest, when they speak about grassroots, I give them an analogy. You cannot speak on grassroots affordability or anything that deals with the ecology of a community when you are the big trees with the plush canopies that are drowning us, not only for resources, but for lights, for us to grow. These grassroots candidates do not grow with these big tree, corporate-backed candidates. And this is how forest fires happen. And when those forest fires happen, those big trees, they bear the brunt of that fire. But those grassroots shrubs get to grow. And that's what's happening now, because Donald Trump is a damn firestorm. And if nobody steps up within these districts, what we're gonna have is the same monkey circus that's been going on for generations, where they're passing the baton to each other, especially the Potomac puppet show that's going on in my district. My district is not a Potomac district, but it is overlorded by lords from your Potomac district, right? David Trone and April McLean Delaney do not reside in the 6th district. They reside in your district. So you're your representative soon to be, And guess what? This is something that had to change. That rule has to change. And this goes back to affordability, because the same people that are toting and preaching about affordability to people that they have no connectivity to, how can you espouse to one who is worried about paying bills that you're going to pass a bill for them to pay more bills? And that's what's going on. The hypocrisy has to stop. Now, I am the only candidate that have the power to stop it, because I can control the Black vote and Latino vote and the LGBTQ vote and every other vote, because nobody likes these people anymore. They look at them as what they are. They're hypocrites. They're passing the baton. It went from John to David, from David to April. Now, come on, it's not an election, it's a selection. You can't preach to the people about affordability, empty ICE detention warehouses, especially when there's more detention warehouses right down the road, full of people. The Democratic Party put everything on the line over those ICE detention warehouses. And in that same Washington County is a prison industrial complex that nobody said anything about. How do you expect these people, what I hear? They're not voting for anybody. And that's dangerous. That's more dangerous than, and they know it. So I am also accusing the Democratic establishment in not only my district, but in Maryland, of suppressing not only the Black vote, but suppressing the Latino vote, and they don't give a damn about the gay vote anymore, you know, or any of the other champion votes that they voted for or championed for. They don't care about us anymore. All they care about is their bottom line and their portfolios. David Trump became a billionaire while he was in Congress. How the hell is he going to talk about affordability, right? April McLean Delaney and John Delaney are rich. They're spending millions and billions of dollars on junk mail. That same piece of mail that comes in the mailbox can contain a check for a family to go eat, instead of them spending $80+ million collectively on an election that they already know who won. And you're going through the same thing, my friend. And you're going through the same thing. We're all experiencing this in a way that is not only detrimental, if we don't stop it now, we're gonna have to move. Because we've made enemies that are millionaires and billionaires. Talk about affordability, try to afford to move again, huh? Yeah, what we're doing, we're putting our lives on the line. This is not what we didn't sign up for this. Like straight up. You think George's family and wife signed up for 10 years of him putting his finances and his life on the line? You know, he gets hate online. And if people even knew who this man is, he's raising the next generation of children in multiple districts, school districts. George should be accredited, okay? But because he chose to be an opponent to people who are the friends of the governor and the friends of everybody else, he's not going to get the accreditation. You know why? Because he speaks up for what's right. And I'm not saying the governor's wrong. I'm not saying anybody, but this gang stuff has got to stop. We can't even talk about the issues that affect the community as a whole or your future constituents until we address the #1 problem, which is ourselves.
Yep, you said pretty much everything you said.
Yeah, I'm pissed off.
It's all there. It's all there. So I think this is a different section of the invite than when we were at the podium. So I think nobody introduced themselves, so I'm going to do that first. JD Kumar, Montgomery County, I've lived there many decades. I'm running for, again, United States Congress, House of Representatives. It's Maryland District 8. And thank you very much again, Mr. Felix Seier. You know, I could go on like you. I don't know what format, if we're gonna discuss like different issues.
Make it organic, man.
Yeah.
So we're out here in BWI Westin Hotel, and you know, the overarching thing for me is just people just being nice to each other. We're in the second quarter of the new century, 2026, and today is May 25th, Memorial Day 2026. And we have so many conveniences, so many advancements. It's just a trajectory exponentially, technologically, in the last 4 or 5 decades, starting in the 80s with our computers and spreadsheets and all of these things. Today, our mobile phone just gives us the whole world at fingertip. And the networks are so advanced out and about that you can do anything almost anywhere. So I want to keep reminding people everything that we have. But as I say that, I ask myself, what do we not have? And what is a threat for us? What is a risk for us? And I think if you're not making a decent money to have a shelter, because when I did my survey in my district, people told me 2 things. They told me authoritarianism, tyranny, and ICE. They're really upset with ICE. The issue with ICE has quieted down since the war in Iran started. The media is now covering a lot of the Iran war. So the other thing is there was also some changes administratively in the administration with respect to ICE management and so forth. But again, the district told me 2 things. affordability and authoritarianism. So affordability, cost of living, and so forth. And so as I thought about affordability and cost of living, the number one thing is your shelter. And there's a lot of people, young people, my county council, Montgomery County, recently passed a law, an act, where they won't allow algorithm pricing for landlords, apartments. These big apartments that have hundreds of units, it makes a huge difference when you have that kind of data and technology to quickly set optimal rent. When you know the marketplace and you can set optimal, you can set $800 difference versus a $300 difference in terms of profit. So the county council decided you can't use that kind of advantage. Now, of course, me having a lot of business experience and having a lot of the types of experience, having worked from the age of 10, I went and agreed with them because, again, remember what I'm saying here. We can have everything we want, but the basics you need is good shelter. So I agreed with passing that law, but I also looked at the companies that produce these products. We got to understand the whole ecosystem. When we talk about affordability and pushing costs down, everybody that works in companies, they want raises, they want to get good jobs, they want to go to the best companies with the best benefits, the best kind of work conditions, and so forth. So these are constant struggle between the two. So we as people that want affordability versus at the same time wanting jobs that are high paying. So really what we're talking about is a large swath of people that have been left behind in the new economy. And this new economy has been around for several decades now. So one of the things we got to do is close the gap on that. And this is what we all do in different ways. We come up with different strategies and so forth. But going back to the overall theme, I know this might be a little bit a corny cash proposition, but better than a more perfect union, I'm saying let's form a more utopian society. And the fact that we're sitting here today nicely, cordially, with each other, these are the little things we can do. Have good debates, try to understand each other. So I'm going to repeat this quote I put in here. Better than a more perfect union, let's form a more utopian society. This means at a very granular level, every little thing that we do, we should look at how we do this. So part of what I'm running on is empathy, because there's a lot of hurt people out there. The fact that this gentleman has, from his predicament to where he is today, we have to be empathetic in society. We have to solve a lot of problems. But again, I go back to the overarching theme. People are concerned about ICE. One of the big solutions with ICE is penalize the employer. You do have to regulate the border. You have to be realistic. I've thought about this now even more thoroughly. Conservatives are not going to like the statement, but I don't think I'll ever penalize the person that's come here working. It's got to be on the employer. Start there. There's an H-2B program that you can expand for labor shortage jobs. But I'm not going to get into detail. I do have a website, www.votejdk.com. I keep adding info in there. I want to keep this a little bit more short. But again, shelter is your number one thing. So let's go back to what Montgomery County Council did with the algorithm. They got rid of it. You can't use it. So guess what happens? These companies, where people work their way up, go into these higher STEM education, study hours and days together for years, now you're potentially putting that company out of business. So me having experience, I told them, why don't you go cost up instead of price down? Now, you're dealing with this multifaceted. You're saving the company and their product, but you're telling them to flip the product, which is there's enough data to find out how much it costs to pay maintenance people, supplies from places like Home Depot that are part of apartment maintenance. There's enough data to know what HVAC company charges and so forth. You pull that info just like you pull everything else. So part of the problem a lot of times with whether you want to say ultra liberals or what, it's always pushing down without really reasoning. Think about that company that's doing the algorithm pricing. That's a generational success for them to be able to do higher level work. So you're going to immediately put the product out of business, which is fine, because sometimes some products are really bad. But you have to be creative, and this was a creative idea where I told them, instead of checking what all the apartments charge, now will cost up. What is it? Because your maintenance person, if he does a good job, at the end of the year, he's gonna wanna potentially bonus or raise. There's also other competitors that attract good maintenance people away. So that was a solution. So this is what I'm talking about. We have to be very granular, micro, and look at the macro picture and come up with holistic solutions for everybody. So here's the other thing I've been telling a lot of kids in the zone. Affordability is also oppression and suppression. Because if you can afford something too much, then somebody ain't making enough money. Believe me on this. We gotta consider that. So affordability is also a function of, and I love the line you came up with, digital oil. That's something new I heard. Maybe I've seen it somewhere else. That's tremendous. You know, these little 1 word, 2 words make a difference.
Yeah.
That's
So
data
here's-
ownership. What that
So
is.
here's a statement I'm making. Affordability is also suppression. So let's take an example. You can have a country that can help you produce something for 50 cents an hour. And the person that's being employed in that country, perhaps was making 10 cents an hour in rougher conditions outside. Now they're sitting in a factory, they quadruple, quintuple their salary to 50 cents an hour. It's a win situation for them. We get a product cheaper. But we've now come to a point where so much manufacturing has gone overseas that we have to balance that. We can't lose talent on manufacturing. Even if it's simplistic manufacturing, you learn foundation over foundation. So you may be doing a certain, manufacturing a certain product today that may be a lower level 3 category wise instead of in terms of profit and complexity. But the fact that you're in the game, you can then now, having that knowledge, go to the next level. So this is a reason you can't be, not want to protect your different forms of economic sectors. But what I want to do is I want this to go more circular.
That's actually what my gross domestic product
Are you
protection was like.
finished here?
I don't have, I wasn't
These are
prepared.
the last 2 lines. Okay, I'm gonna finish here. Thank you so much, because I want this to go quick and circular. So I think, again, I will repeat to everybody. We have our conveniences, we have our advances, we gotta protect the basics, shelter and so forth. But I think more than anything, cordiality, decency, it's not that easy. We gotta work at it. Thanks.
Well, that's what my Gross Domestic Product Protection Act is about. Again, I wasn't prepared for this format, so I don't mean to be rude. Our parking is running up, so I'm gonna go. Again, what was your name?
George Gluck,
And where, George Gluck?
Gluck.
Running where?
CD6.
CD6 and Felix?
Yeah, District 3.
3?
Altamont Roost, let me get your card.
Okay, I'll get it to you. And I'll see you Thursday.
I will see you.